We're talking to Keegan from Wild Cub this morning on the alternative station, CD1025. Keegan, you are down in Nashville. How's Nashville these days?
It's doing good. It's doing good. It's been a little rainy, a little bit scary, but that's why I came down here from New York, was to hide away from all the real cold, so I can't complain about it at all.
I love the city of Nashville. There are a million things going on down there, but my question is, you're from Portland, Oregon originally, right?
Yeah.
All right. How did you end up in Nashville? What trek got you there?
Well, I grew up in Portland, which is about the most kind of northern liberal granola-y place that you can be born and raised in. And then I spent 7 or 8 years in New York, and I was going to film school, and I went to acting conservatory up there. And that's where the whole kind of my parallel world as a film composer started. And after about 8 years of freezing in New York, and, kind of fighting my way through all of that, I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit slower, and I wanted to really be able to focus on music. The nicest thing about Nashville is that, instead of spending half of your time just trying to pay your bills and half of the time trying to do whatever it is that you love, in my case, music, you can really come down here and do that 100% of the time. It's so much cheaper, it's so much more friendly, you get so much less to worry about. And so moving from New York to Nashville gave me that opportunity for the first time to really, make music the singular thing that I pursued and did. That's when I started to kind of piece together what later became Wild Cub.
Well, Nashville's a great city. You've ended up in a good spot, and this has certainly been a big year for you, and we'll talk about some of the things you've done this year. But let's start with Wild Cub. Wild Cub, you guys got together last year, right? Is that you guys just formed last year, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Already got a record out. Already making a lot of noise. How did Wild Cub come together?
I had moved down from New York, and I was kind of trying to do some singer-songwriter stuff, and all the other different guys who would later be in the band were kind of doing the same thing. They were either in these other bands or playing with singer-songwriters or trying to do that themselves. And I think that's the one thing that really drew us all together is we kind of ended up down here in a town filled with singer-songwriters being like, wait, that's not what we want to do at all. We want to be in a band, And everybody was writing songs that, kind of told stories and were more, I woke up this morning and I did this and then I did this. We were excited about all this music that was built from rhythm and was built using drums and bass first. And so we kind of all started just talking and, meeting and getting excited about that kind of music. And then, I had a couple of them playing in my band as I was doing singer-songwriter stuff. And then one day I just kind of started writing the song Thunderclatter and was like, guys, let's write this song together, but let's do this one as Wild Cub. And through that song, we kind of started to form the band, taking all these different people, and for the first time, becoming a band. And next thing we knew, we were taking a couple of the band members' house, carrying everything out, and turning it into a studio and recording the record. And that recording the record was what kind of formed the band in earnest.
Now, I've been down there a couple of times and had a chance to hang out and go to some of the honky tonks and the Country Music Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff. And when I think about the things I've seen down there and the things I've heard down there, man, not a lot of that Nashville stuff that I've been exposed to sounds like Wild Cub.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the thing is we were excited about this kind of music that not only did we feel was underrepresented in town, but we just felt like, I think that's what first drew us together, was getting excited about these different things and being like, did you hear that new Breakbot remix? Have you heard, the new John Talbot record, all these different kind of more European dance records that were coming out. And I think that's what started to get us first excited about making music. Everybody else, we still love John Prine and we still love Tammy Wynette.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what we were talking about over beers at night when we were getting excited about music.
Keegan DeWitt from Wild Cub talking to us this morning on CD1025. Let's talk about some other things. You kind of mentioned the film scoring stuff, and you've been doing that for a while. Earlier this year, you were nominated for an Oscar, which I assume that's a crazy experience.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the cool thing is that I joke around with my wife that I was a tangentially Oscar award-winning film composer, and that the film that I scored won an Oscar, which was kind of funny. I whenever we get in arguments, I'm like, you have to show me at least a little respect. I'm tangentially associated with an Oscar.
How did this come to be? You mentioned acting school and all those kinds of things, and obviously the music is a big passion for you, but a lot of people have passions and they just can't find a way in. How did you get into scoring films?
It was something, I went to a fine arts high school, and I was learning how to write for the stage and for the screen. And that's what first kind of started to get me excited about the idea of narrative and about the idea of making films. And then a bunch of the kids that I kind of grew up with just all started making films, and I was the one who also happened to, at the same time, do music. So for the very first thing I did was a friend turning and going, "Wait, you do music, right? Could you do that for this? Because I don't have anybody to do that." And then from there, it just kind of started to make itself work. And I mean, it's helped because each have informed the other so nicely, and that I feel like the Wild Cub stuff is so much more cinematic and is working on a different frequency than a lot of other types of music in terms of how it tells stories, and also in how now I have to learn. I just did a documentary for HBO.
Yeah, it just premiered, right? Didn't it just premiered on there, right?
Yeah, and it was something that I really had to build with rhythm first, and I took a lot of stuff from how we built some of the longer songs on the Wild Cub record and used rhythm to kind of create tension and then release tension and stuff like that. So it's been a really interesting and satisfying thing. And it's also, my whole thing is I always end up trying to do too many things, whether it be doing the film scoring or, doing Wild Cub. And so, I figured out how to make them both work. I think through just being a bull about it all and insisting that I was going to do both.
It's better than the alternative. You could just be a lazy slob and just sit around all day.
Yeah, well, I'm sure my wife will still accuse me of that every once in a while.
All right, I know that another of your passions is basketball, so tell me how excited you are about the Portland Trailblazers this season.
You really did your research about the basketball, huh? Yeah, well, I mean, I guess my Twitter feed is consumed by all just angry tweets by me about the Blazers, so I wouldn't make it take that long. Actually, I don't know. Except to say the Blazers are doing really good right now. I mean, I always, every year I spend an inordinate amount of money trying to listen to, watch, and attend at least a couple Portland Trailblazer games. I've done it ever since I was 10 years old. So here I'll drive to Memphis, I drive to Atlanta, I drive to Chicago, and it's really, it's a weird obsession of mine. But this year, the Trailblazers are 9-2. They're one of the best teams in the Western Conference right now. But sadly, I don't think that that's going to last very long. It's kind of like that thing where, I think that they've yet to play anybody who's really put the heat on them.
Now,
in any sort of serious way.
Have you been tempted to switch allegiances now that you're down there? You're near Memphis. Have you been tempted at all?
Yeah. No, I can't. I mean, it's like that thing, I have a tough time. It's like if somebody just walked in the room and said, "Here's your new parents," and you just couldn't get it. You know what I mean? It's somewhere deep in my blood. My dad took me to see the Blazers back, when I was like 8 years old. I was there when Clyde Drexler and Cliff Robinson and all those guys were going to the finals against Michael Jordan at those games, making my own signs. So as much as I would love to change allegiances, I think it's impossible.
Real quick, too, I know you guys are in the process, or maybe you've already finished remastering the record. You're going to get ready to re-release that, add a couple of bonus tracks. What's got you doing that? What's the process of that? Are you almost done with that?
Well, we wanted to do something because, we kind of quietly released the record almost 9 months, a year ago to our small group of fans and our friends. And so we wanted to find a way that when we kind of, for example, right now we had to pull the record off of Spotify, off of iTunes, and it's going to all come out in this new way in 2 months. But we wanted to kind of have a way of saying thank you to all those people who've been so patient and listened for so long. So part of that was we, went and recorded these 2 extra songs, which is really cool because we got to go and do it in Austin with Jim Eno, who is the drummer and producer for the Spoon Records. And we've always been really big Spoon fans, and so we got to go and meet him and collaborate with him on these 2 extra songs, and then kind of also get to go back and comb through and remaster the record, which is a really surreal thing because, last time we were mastering it, it was me doing it in a very amateur way, and we didn't really know what these songs were. So now to go back and listen to them all again kind of felt like you were opening up your yearbook and getting to kind of relive some of those memories.
Wild Cub coming to town to be a part of the CD1025 Holiday Show December 12th at the LC, and a portion of the proceeds benefit CD1025 for the kids. Keegan DeWitt, I had a lot of fun talking to you today. I appreciate you taking time to do this for us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.